Back on Get Down to Business, we are powered by Tandem HR. We call them our solution center, and you can find them at tandemhr.com or call 630-928-0510. You can also email them, simplify@tandemhr.com. And as I promised you earlier in the show, I want to share with you some of the most fantastic networking resources that I use and that I share in all of my meetings. And you can find out about all of my events as well as download podcasts from Get Down to Business on my website at shalomklein.com. And this is your networking and business tip of the week, which can be heard daily on the morning show at 7:30 a.m. right here on AM 560 The Answer. Online, schmonline. In Chicago, it still takes a handshake to seal a deal. Social media can't replace the simple value of building trust, sharing human stories, and forming real relationships. So Shane Greenstein, a professor at Northwestern University's Kellogg School of Management, said that I like some online social stuff as much as the next person. Okay, probably more, but let's not get carried away. Many of life's pleasures come face-to-face, and a well-done networking event is both useful and entertaining and informative in a way that no online site can replicate. Maybe that's why, despite the rise of LinkedIn and Twitter, professional meetups, clubs, and real-world events, they're still popular. And on any given day or night of the week, somewhere in town, there's a tech industry mixer, a panel discussion for financial execs, or a keynote speaker addressing a civic group dinner. The networking groups that I'm going to mention aren't meant to be a roundup of every organization in Chicago, but rather a rundown of those that are drawing crowds, generating headlines, and helping participants advance their careers and get stuff done. Some you may have heard of, others might be off your radar screen, and some aren't strictly networking groups. Instead, they're places where business people get together to share ideas and end up networking despite themselves. The first one that I want to share with you is my own, and that's Jewish B2B Networking. We started 5 years ago, and we've brought together tens of thousands of people at many regular events. We have chapters here in Chicago. We even have a group that's meeting in Washington, D.C., employment events, entrepreneurial resources, and many other programs are really helping the business and employment community. Really proud of those successes. The next group that I want to mention is another one that I'm very closely aligned with, is the Small Business Advocacy Council. Their website is sbacil.org, and they started at about the same time that I did. They've brought together also over 1,000 members, and they have events in the South Side, the North Side, in the city of Chicago, and they are really, first and foremost, an advocacy organization doing some fantastic work at supporting the small business community of Chicago. The next one that I want to bring up to you is the City Club of Chicago. The City Club is a great organization that brings in policymakers, influence makers in presentations, mostly at Maggiano's in the city, and they have speakers. I think recently they had Supreme Court Justice Ann Burke, which is pretty major to have the Supreme Court Justice address the policy discussions, especially as Governor Rauner talks about pay for state employees. Supreme Court Justice Ann Burke, I believe, spoke about some of the key decisions that the Supreme Court is making. So City Club is a great place to hear influence makers as well as to network with some of those people as well. A few other great organizations is the American Club Association. They have a number of different subgroups. They have an entrepreneurial club. They even have a golf club where, for those of you, unlike myself, that love to golf and network for business on the golf course, the American Club Association has that. They have a tech group, an entrepreneurial group, really great organization. Vistage, you heard from Dick Smith, who's an award-winning Vistage chair earlier in the program. And Vistage is a great organization. It's a peer advisory group, and it brings together CEOs of very nice-sized organizations and companies together. A very select group. There's a membership that comes along with that. But I've heard some fantastic things from many members who are also involved in the work that I do. There's also the Chicago Latino Network, which, although self-explanatory, great organization for those in the Latino community and beyond. There's the Executives Club of Chicago, typically bringing together senior executives, not just owners of companies. There's the Chicagoland Chamber of Commerce, which, as the name implies, is the general chamber of commerce for the entire Chicagoland area. And they have a number of events for their members. There's a fee to join, but they have things going on all over the place and also pretty involved in advocacy. There's the Committee of 200. There's the Chicago Network. There's Tech Cocktail. There's many great organizations that I simply don't have the time to bring up each and every one of them, but they are all bringing together people from around the Chicagoland area and great networking opportunities. What I just want to share with you in closing is that networking does not only happen at an organization like mine or at an organization like the SBAC. Networking takes place in a variety of venues. Networking takes place in coffee shops. Networking takes place whenever two people get together to share ideas and trying to find ways to work together. As I say at every one of my events, and as I say frequently on the air here on Get Down to Business, the best way to network is to connect, where you really genuinely express an interest in the person that you're sitting across from. Regardless of whether they're looking for a job, regardless of whether they own the largest company in Chicago, you want to get to know them and you want to see how you can help them. Not how they can help you, not what business they can refer to you, not what job opportunities they might have for you. Get to know them, become known as a connector, and people will want to connect to you. That's what I've done. And at all of these networking events, all of these networking organizations that I mentioned, they are all connecting organizations. These are all places that you can start conversations. But the real conversations, the real connections, the real networking takes place over a cup of coffee. So start your networking journey today. Check out my website, shalomklein.com, where I'm going to post some of the links to these organizations. Check out many of these other websites, the SBAC, City Club of Chicago, the Chicagoland Chamber of Commerce, Vistage, the American Club Association, all great organizations that are doing fantastic work in the city of Chicago. After the break, I've got some more networking tips, advice, and information for you. You're listening to Get Down to Business. We're powered by Tandem HR. Don't touch that dial. We've got more resources for you. Check out my website, shalomklein.com, for those lists of networking events and to download podcasts from the show.